2 years ago I started the Lake Area Chamber Music Festival, which has been a great opportunity and experience both for the performers and the community. So this summer I'll be home doing work preparing and promoting that for our upcoming August series. And then I've just decided, and I'm excited about the opportunity to, I'm going to be moving back to Minneapolis, St. Paul in the fall, where I'll have plenty of time to prepare for auditions, which is my main goal, as well as be more accessible for the growth and success of the festival. And I hope to start freelancing down there also. Well, it got started 2 summers ago. I guess that would be the summer of 2009. I had 4 friends from Eastman that actually came out to Nisswa to live for the summer with me. We all were waiters at Lost Lake Lodge and decided to just throw together some concerts for fun. I think every year since I've graduated from high school I've given some kind of recital back here, and it's always fun to perform for a community like this. Well, being back here where you know everyone's just enjoying the opportunity to hear you is a lot more inspiring and fulfilling. First year, and we kind of kept throwing around ideas, and it turned into something a lot more substantial than I think we were expecting. And then last year we set with 6 concerts right from the beginning and involved quite a bit more professional musicians, especially from the Minnesota and St. Paul Chamber Orchestras. Last year we had about 30 musicians come, and then this coming summer we'll have about 50 musicians coming from those orchestras again, as well as it's kind of all based on a collaboration between colleagues of mine out at Eastman and members of those professional orchestras in the cities, as well as we have several locals coming to perform with us and students from the University of Minnesota, which we hope to grow upon in the future, providing great opportunities for the students to perform with the professionals as colleagues rather than as teachers, but also the performers, the professionals in the past have expressed how exciting it is for them to perform with young people that are still excited to be doing it and not sitting in the orchestra every single week. I started playing piano with my mom as a teacher in about kindergarten, and from a young age my older siblings couldn't understand that I actually enjoyed practicing. So I was thrilled to play from a young age, and in 6th grade in the Brainerd School District program I started playing trumpet in band, which I played through high school, and then I actually started on string bass in orchestra. And then the following summer I switched to cello, and I've always been glad that I did. A high school cellist at the time, and I heard her play, and then she and Grant Wilcox kind of suggested the cello kind of has more opportunities in the orchestra and as a solo instrument. I actually started on bass because you didn't have to rent it yourself, and it wasn't expected that you would bring it home to practice because it was so big. But along with a smaller instrument, the cello is great. I don't think there's any other string instrument I would rather play. Just based on all the great solo music there is, the Bach solo suites, lots of concertos, and also great parts in orchestra, which is what I particularly like to play. Ninth grade, I had the opportunity, I was accepted into the Minnesota All-State Orchestra, and that was my first time playing with a full symphony with brass and winds and percussion, and that was incredible. I loved it, and that following school year I went to my first Minnesota Orchestra concert, and I still remember they played Brahms' First Symphony, and after that concert I remember just being so inspired, and I think that's probably when I decided that I for sure wanted to study it as a career. In high school, starting my, well, I started taking lessons my sophomore year, but junior year, my dad and I would get up every weekend at 5:30 in the morning and drive down to the city, Twin Cities. I played in the Minnesota Youth Symphonies, so we'd have rehearsal Saturday morning, and then I'd go over to Orchestra Hall and have my cello lessons with Joe Johnson, who was in the orchestra at the time. It was a huge time commitment for a high schooler and did affect social stuff, but had lots of great times with my dad, and I know that that was a large part of what got me to where I am today. After graduating from high school, I went to DePaul University in Chicago for 1 year in cello performance, and then after that I transferred to the Eastman School of Music, where I finished my undergrad and am now finishing my master's with another cello teacher there. There's a really great cello faculty there. The third Brainerd student ever has just been accepted at Eastman, so lots of good stuff there, but also a great community that I came from. I have taught in the past. I've been home for at least some of the summers every year since high school, and I know a couple of those I did take on students. I wouldn't say, while I do enjoy teaching people about music, I don't know if teaching private lessons is necessarily my calling. So instead of that kind of stuff, I think putting on these concerts and being able to involve musicians in that kind of setting, as well as through the concerts we do pre-concert lectures for the audience ahead of time, or talk about the pieces during the concerts. And so getting some kind of education level there, outside of just strictly being in a room teaching one student. I know last summer we did a piano trio by Dmitri Shostakovich, and there was a large influence of the politics in Russia when he was writing that. Sure. And having the audience know that, instead of going, what is this weird stuff that he wrote, understanding that there was actually that influence. Yeah, my dream has always been to play in the Minnesota Orchestra, and even as a substitute I would be happy with that. My goal has always all along been to get a position with a major symphony orchestra in the cello section, but auditions are very difficult, unlike I've heard the relation to a professional sports team, whereas they typically retire after 8 or 10 years. String orchestra players can stay in a symphony until they're 70 years old. So the turnover isn't that great. You have to wait for a position to open, can't be too picky where it happens, and then you prepare for a few months, go to the audition, and compete with 50 to 100 other cellists for one spot. So it's a very daunting goal, and while that would be my dream, I've been thinking in the last couple of years with the festival here in town, I've been kind of creating a alternative profession for myself, which is equally as good of an experience. Being a part of that and seeing my native community responding to those concerts. So I think at this point I also would be considering keeping up the freelancing and performing in the cities, but also turning the festival into more of a profession lifelong.